I sit in the sun, don't I? Do I? It's quite nice. Hi, I'm Keely from Retirement Dreams to Reality. And today I'm going to do the video that I have talked about in quite a few of my other videos. It's a finance video and it's how we are taking our money, where we are getting our money from in retirement. And as I alluded to before, that's changed quite a lot in recent years. And our figures change quite a lot over the course of our different retirement stages. So for the first 3 years, I'm retiring alone, which means Bruce's income will still be identical to how it always was. So all I've got to do for 3 years is replace my income with a little bit extra. As you can probably currently see, I am camping. I am camping at Park Dean Skipsey Sands in Yorkshire, about 2 hours away. It's my very first solo camp and I'm having an absolute ball. I'll do a different video about that. But I've just got to replace my income with a little bit extra so that I can do some travel, some low-cost travel in the next 3 years without Bruce. Now, since my brain injury, I'm a part-time sessional worker and I only earn a maximum of about £15,000. Now, take the tax off, take the school holidays off, take all of that, and I really want to replace about £1,200, £1,100 to £1,200 a month. That's all I want to replace. And I was originally going to do that by taking it from my ISA, stocks and shares ISA, and my SIP, my self-invested personal pension. And that was going to be the plan. Now, I wasn't overly happy about doing that. I was going to do it because I wasn't retiring over the age of 56. I just wasn't, 56, 57. So, but it meant that because I needed to replace around 12 to 13,000 a year, then it was going to mean a withdrawal rate of more than I was really comfortable with. Now, it was only going to mean that this withdrawal rate of 7 to 8% for a short time. It was only going to be a withdrawal rate of 7 to 8% for about 2 years, because as well as drawing from my ISA and shares, my ISA, stocks and shares, and my SIP, I was also going to cash in a very small people's pension, which I have talked about. So my first year fully retired was going to be made up of the last few months of employment and cashing in a personal pension, and then a very small amount from my stocks and shares ISA. That was the first amount. And the next couple of years, because I'd already cashed in that personal pension, that was about 8,000, between 6 and 8, depending on the market. And because I didn't have any wages, that meant that the next couple of years was going to have to come from my SIP and my stocks and shares ISA. However, I started to look at what would be the impact of drawing my local government pension, so my local government pension scheme pension, a few years early, and what would be the impact of drawing my teacher's pension early. Now, my local government pension scheme, I was a teaching assistant. I was a teaching assistant paying into the scheme for about 13 years. I was a teaching assistant for longer than that, but it seems like I paid into the scheme. I was a full-time teaching assistant for about 13 years. And that salary, that pension, if I'd taken it at full pension age when it accrued, so 60 for some of it and 65 for the rest of it was going to be worth to me about 5,500. Between 5,500 and 6,000. That's what my local government pension scheme, teaching assistant pension, was going to be worth to me. Between 5,500 and 6,000. However, if I take it December next year, so December the year when I don't have any other income, it will be worth to me 4,500. So because it's such a small amount anyway, this 5% they take off for taking it 1 year early, and 4.7%, another 4.7% for taking 2 years early, and another 4.3% for taking it 3 years early, and another, it basically goes, how much you lose for each year you take it, the percentage is not so bad. So if you take it just 1 year early, it's over 5%. And if you watch videos on YouTube, they will tell you that the average you will lose by taking your pension early is about 1.7% a year. I don't know what pensions they're taking it from, because the local government pension scheme starts at 5%. You lose 5% in just 1 year. But then it tapers down, and eventually I think it does average at something like 3 to 4%. But basically, because it's such a small amount that my pension is worth anyway, I can start taking it from December next year, and it will get me approximately £4,500. So that's a decent little amount. Bearing in mind at this moment in time, I've only got to replace around 12. I then looked at taking my teacher's pension. Now, because of my brain injury, I didn't do my degree I didn't start my degree till I was 25. I qualified as a teacher when I was about 33, I think, 34. Maybe a little bit later. Basically, I was only a full-time teacher for 7 years. That's it. So even though I've literally worked all my life, I've worked when I was like 14, because of different things that have happened, childcare, going part-time, my brain injury, it definitely impacted on my pension. Anyway, my teacher's pension, even though when I finished, I was a deputy head of faculty on approximately £45,000, then it is worth, if I took it at retirement age, at its full maturing age, it would be worth about 8,000. But because I'm taking that early, that is worth about 6,300, something like that. So basically, the first time I get to the place where I've got no income, because I don't have any wages, and I've cashed in my £6,000-7,000 pension, totally cashed that in. If I draw from my teacher's pension and my TA pension, I will be getting about £10,500. Now, I currently only earn 12 plus. So you can see why our plans have now changed, because I would be stupid not to take that. And that means that my stocks and shares ISA and my SIP, my self-invested personal pension, can continue to grow. That means I will only be taking from them a very small amount. And it also means that I will never have to withdraw more than the 4%. You've all heard about the 4% rule.
So the 4% rule is whereby you draw from your pension pot over a 30-year period, adjusted for inflation, which is normally considered 2%, and you have a stock to bond allocation of 50-50.
I'll never have to draw more than 4% from either of those funds. So it just made perfect sense for us to do that. So for the first 3 years, after the first couple of years of wages, cashing in a pension, I will be taking my £10,500 teachers and government pension, taking them very early and then topping that up from my SIP and my personal pension. And I'll be doing that until Bruce retires. And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. But when Bruce retires, that's when all our plans come to fruition. Please remember, if you're enjoying this video, or even if you're not, please help by liking and subscribing. Like and subscribe. And that's when, as a couple, we want to have between £40,000 and £45,000 as our annual budget. Now, once again, that will change a little bit. If the dog is still around, we'll be more like 35,000 because we won't be going to Australia for 2-3 months. We won't be going to America for 2-3 months at a time because we'll have Pupsy still. So we'll probably draw about 35,000 then and just spend a lot more money on holidays in Europe. But once Pupsy's gone, the plan is between 40 and 45,000 is what we need as a joint income to have for us a very, very comfortable retirement. And so how are we going to get that then? Well, when Bruce retires, he's going to take his teacher's pension as soon as he can. But he's retiring at 51. So there's about 3 years between when Bruce retires at 51 and I get my full state pension. There might be 4. These figures are not going to be exact, but there's possibly 4 years from when Bruce retires to I get my full state pension. So this £45,000, I've estimated that we need around 20 to 22 each. Well, once I get my full state pension with my already £10,000 teacher's pension, that's me done. I already have the full amount of money that I need to contribute to our plans. But I will still draw from my ISA and my SIP up to 4%. I'll never draw any more than 4%, but I will still draw up to 4%. Now, Bruce can't draw from his SIP because he'll only be 51. Bruce is not going to have that much in his ISA that he can draw 4% and replace £20,000. So we are going to downsize. We are going to downsize. The minute Bruce retires, we've owned our own home since my brain injury. So since I had my brain injury, we were able to pay our mortgage off. So we've owned our own home now for over 10 years. We hope it's worth approximately about £320,000, and we will downsize to a home around £200,000. That's our plan. We will release about £100,000 equity, and that equity will be used to plug the gap between when Bruce is able to claim his teacher pension and his state pension and his SIP, his private pension, because he won't even be able to claim that when he first retires. So that's our figures at the minute. We are definitely planning to retire on our joint retirement on 40 to 45. We know we can get that from downsizing, from SIPs and personal pensions, from taking our local government and teachers' pensions early. Bruce is also going to take his teacher pension when he can at 57. And that, even taking it at 57, is around £7,500. So once he gets his state pension as well, there's only a tiny, tiny shortfall in our plans. So when you look at these videos that say 4% rule will last you 30 years, we need our finances to last a maximum of about 12, 13 years. We don't want them to. We haven't spent all these years saving up the money that we've saved up for it to disappear in 10 years. And we are going to stick as close to the 4%. I'm never really going to go above the 4% drawdown rate. Bruce may go up to 5% drawdown rate, even as high as 6% at one point. We'll play with the exact figures depending on what we can draw from our stocks and shares ISA so that we don't pay tax. If we've got no other income coming from anywhere else, then I'll draw sort of the maximum I can from my state pension, from my self-invested pension without paying tax, but that's not going to be a lot from me because I'm already going to be getting my teacher's pension. So some things are fluid, but what we 100% know is that we are both taking our local government and teachers' pensions early, much earlier than we originally anticipated. That means they take a dip, they take a dive, but that means that hopefully our self-invested pensions and our self-invested stocks and shares will be able to continue to grow because we're not taking more than we need to from drawdown. We're not actually eating in to the actual capital, the original capital. We're hoping for the original capital to stay as close to what it was when we retired as it possibly can. But we're willing to see it go. We're willing to see it go down so that we can live the life that we want to live in our early retirement. And we know that once we both get our state pension and we're both claiming our full other pensions, that we're virtually meeting our needs anyway. Especially if you take into account the go-go, the slow go and the no-go. We'll need a lot less in later years of retirement. Wow, it's windy. We'll need a lot less in later years of retirement than we need now. And one thing to mention is that when you look at these figures that the government put out of 25,000 for a basic lifestyle and 45,000 for a comfortable lifestyle, and there's so many different factors. This week I have watched 2 videos where one man said he is going to manage on 1,000, him and his wife. You might have seen him, he's blown up because he's giving figures, which is important, but he's also telling people that he is going to live on £1,000 a month in his retirement, him and his wife. So everybody's watching that to see how that's going to go, I'm convinced. The same day I watched a video from a financial advisor and his clients wanted £63,000 a year in retirement. So watching the videos that say, I have 150,000, is it going to last me in retirement? Or I have 500,000, is it going to last me in retirement? It absolutely 100% depends on what you are planning to spend in retirement. And actually, the best way you can work that out is know exactly what you spend now. And we know, as I am sitting here now on this beautiful campsite, Bruce and I physically spend, I'm not talking about the fact that Bruce is putting nearly £1,000 a month into his pension at the moment so that he can retire at 51. I'm talking about what we actually physically spend every month on everything. So the daft clothes and things that I buy as well at the minute. Literally, if we look at our outgoings, we spend currently around £30,000 to £35,000 a year. That's what we currently spend. that £30,000 to £35,000 a year is doing exactly everything that we currently want to do at the moment. We only spend between about 5 and 6 on holidays at the moment. Well, obviously that's going to go up massively. But I've done the budget. I've done the budget for our new life. I've done the budget for our life in travelling all that much in retirement, and that's why I came up with 40 to 45, because I've actually got the numbers. We've got a spreadsheet with roughly how much Airbnbs are, roughly how much flights are, roughly how much we'll spend in each place on food and coffees and eating out and all of those sort of things. So I've done a very exact budget. Obviously we don't have an exact budget now living at home, but we do know what we spend. And this 35 that we spend, 35,000, could very easily be reduced. It will be reduced. I spend quite a lot of money on petrol going to work, which I don't claim for. I actually spend a decent amount of money on my students on teas and coffees and food, which I don't claim for. I buy a lot of clothes for work. Hopefully I won't be doing that so much. I do have a bit of an obsession with clothes, so I'm hoping I won't do that as much when I'm retired. Travel will be cheaper when we're retired because we don't have to go school holidays. Currently our cruises cost us anything from sort of, to be fair, we got a mega deal last Christmas of 2,000, but currently our cruises cost us anything from sort of 3,500 to 5,000. Sort of that's what we spend on about our main summer holiday. Now I know 100% that 5,000 will get us 3 holidays. Will 100% get us 3 holidays when we're retired. So yeah, lots of figures there. But the crux of it is we are taking our state and teachers' pensions early. It has given us quite a hit, but because they're a small amount anyway, and then the percentage, a 1% of 1,000 is a very small amount compared to 1% of 300,000. So that's where we are. I hope that's been useful. I know people are interested in what's going to happen in this retirement. It's a Monday morning and I'm sitting about 400 yards from the beach on Skipsey Sands caravan site in Yorkshire. So yeah, we're there, we're getting there. I will keep everybody posted on my retirement travels, what I do, retirement, just living the retirement life as much as I can. I will put up some spreadsheets. The figures that I've said might not be exact because, as I say, I'm camping. I don't have my exact figures with me, but the 40 to 45 as our end goal is definitely an exact figure. The fact that we spend 30 to 35 now is a close figure. The fact that my teacher's pension and my state pension has been reduced to 10.5, that's a figure that I definitely know. If there's any other figures that people want to know, please ask. And if I can, I will tell people. Figures are a bit personal, I know, but we're not retiring on £1 million. We're not spending 50, 60, 80,000 pounds a year. We're retiring on pensions and a few 100,000 each. And that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough to live the lifestyle that we want to live. That's Keely from Retirement Dreams to Reality. Thank you for watching.